Good evening from Kansas City. Hello from Sunshine Coast, Australia. Adia, Welch, William Roberts. Oh, very nice. Hey, you can hear us. Sound is good.
Wonderful.
Wow. First time without a problem. I'm actually really excited. This is a series of videos and a subject that I was hesitant to share. Because on one side, we learned everything from those doctors and from the clinics that we visited. So it feels a little bit like backstabbing to teach you how to do that at home. And I think we can make that very, very clear today that this is not our intent. For those of you who have the money to go to a clinic, do it. It's a super event. It's something that will kickstart your healing much faster. But after almost 20 years in this industry, we noticed that so many of you can't ever afford that. They don't have the money to, spend $30,000, $40,000 in a clinic and then still have to do all the other things to keep going. And if you don't have it, it's always that feeling, oh, if I had money, I would survive. Oh, if I could afford that, then I would get well. And that's added stress, which is actually not true. And see, many of our clients, we don't have that money to spend that amount in a clinic and repeatedly. So the idea of building that environment to heal at home is actually something really powerful. Plus you learn so much and then you add a few treatments as an outpatient. So I thought we'll start today with this subject and build up over the next few days with ozone and other treatments and really give you an overview. And once we've introduced all the individual treatments and how they all combine and how they make an effect, we'll do in the last webinar really on how to set it up, how to start, how to observe, and what the best combinations are based on your finances. See, PEMF, what we talk about today, is actually quite expensive. So if you don't have that money to do that, well, then there is ways around. And that's what we will do in our last webinar. So let's get started. You can ask as many questions as you like. We'll answer them in the end. So let us go through the slides because a lot of your questions will probably be already answered. And then we come back at the end to write. And you can mark them with the question. Why is that marked as chat? Okay, so if you have a question, really just click that Q at the side so that, I don't know, can they do that too? I think so.
Yes, they can.
Very good. So that we can just go through the red points and not get completely confused. And I see we have a whole lot of people on the call today. So that's very good. And we'll try our best to really cover all of your questions and the whole subject. So slides. Start presentation and start. You should still see us down here in the middle. All right. So, do we need to sit that way or do we just leave the slides behind us?
That's right.
You know that we're here. All right. Okay. For those of you who are new, that's Deborah Freudenmann, my daughter. I'm Markus Freudenmann. And for the past 20 years, I always said the past 10 years. And then somebody said, you said that 5 years ago.
It's not 10 years.
It's 20 years. We've been researching alternative cancer treatments. We started out with Max Awareness, and many of you know that. A lot of people still call me Max. So that's how it started. And then we went from there to Cancer is Curable Now, which again was a bad name. And then we started to change that to Truly Heal. And that is where we stick because it's really exactly what we try to teach. Functional medicine to remove the root cause of disease. And once you figure out how that works and you realize the results, you can't ever go back to normal medicine. And when we did our journey, and I really would like to express my gratitude to all the scientists, all the doctors. You know, when somebody works 30 years with cancer patients and they share all their wisdom with you, they share all their insights, it is nuggets of gold. So putting all of that into the program that we've done is really great. Now, Sabrina is usually not part of the forefront. She's the one that manages all the big part, you know, the students and the education and the research. But she's definitely part of the team.
She works hard in the background.
Exactly. Deborah and me are more like the foreground. And Benedict, again, who is our other son, he's a naturopath too, he is hiding as well. When we did the journey, we really tried to put all the nuggets of gold, all the things we learn, all the things that is important into a mind map. And that became the Truly Heal study course, the functional medicine training course. So when you sign up for our coaching program, you learn things that most doctors don't know and how to put it together and what is important and why to look at. So it's really fascinating to have all of those insights all in one place. And with every treatment that everything we learned and every doctor we visited, I always asked, which treatments are mandatory? Which treatments would you never get rid of in your clinic? And they really came back to ozone, hypothermia, PEMF, near-infrared, laser therapy, and IVs. And we'll talk a little bit about IVs and why it's important, because that's pretty much one of the main ingredients. So we'll talk how they combine with different treatments. And because every single clinic all over Europe, it was really significant, was putting ozone as a mandatory treatment right at start, all through the program, it just became a staple of the art. And I have to admit, I actually did ignore it completely. The first documentary that we put out had no ozone in it. I always thought, you know, like you don't see any effects. It doesn't really do anything. Yes, they wash the blood, so we have that part in, but that's it. So there was no, and then after we published the movie, every doctor asked, why did you ignore ozone? Why did you not report about ozone? Why is that not predominant? And well, I just didn't think it's important. And then afterwards, we edited into the second part, the Truly Heal from Cancer, and it really is important. Hypothermia, that was significant. You saw the people suffering in their dome. So I added that immediately. I guess there was movie style considerations that were more important. Okay, so when you go to a clinic, and I just copied, this is Klinik im Leben in Germany, a very, very beautiful clinic, all organic, all natural, beautiful meditation gardens outside where you walk in circles and flowers, a really great clinic. And we stayed there for a while, and I copied their program. What came, and you will find that pretty much Dr. Herzog in Eppenheim, Dr. Dowers, all of the clinics that are booked out for a long time, they all have ozone, full body hypothermia, laser therapy, PEMF, local hypothermia, IPT. IPT has been big. And when I asked 3 or 4 years later, everybody was going like, we dropped that. It did rarely work. And I think that's the conclusion. It has some specifics that some patients respond to. It's like insulin potentiated chemotherapy. So they starve the body, then they push insulin up so that all cells open. And then when you feed in small amounts of chemotherapy, they are supposed to go directly into the tumor and not into other cells. But it has never established as a real powerful treatment. In some cases, yes, but not in general. IV supplementation, they all do. Absolutely. UBI, I made the D in between, which shouldn't be there. Ultraviolet blood irradiation. And that is a very powerful treatment, usually done in combination with ozone. They have coffee enemas or hydrocolon therapy to really clean out the colon, restore healthy gut bacteria, clean out toxins. And then you have the photodynamic tumor therapy in some clinics. Again, that's a treatment that there's not that much evidence that it has that big breakthrough effect, but it is often part. And what I found really the most significant, when you go to those clinics, they do all of those treatments, and that really makes it. It's not like this treatment is the miracle cure and they do this and that works. It's like the combination of all of those things combined that really make that massive difference. So that's why we'd like to introduce you to a concept on how you can do that too.
Oh, Michael.
Michael.
Going to a clinic is so effective, not just because they do all the different treatments in one go, but also you actually get out of your normal environment, which is often what has actually driven disease in the first place. So you leave your environment, you're in this new healing environment, and you're with people who actually focus on you, which is really important in healing. You're in a clean and usually non-toxic environment, which is, depending on where you come from, often a large factor.
Like I said before, when you go to Klinik im Leben, they have organic furniture, they have organic non-toxic bed sheets, latex mattresses. It's like there's every detail from beginning to the end is thought through. Plus, every evening, all wireless, everything shuts off. There is nowhere near a tower. So when you get there and you stay for a while, it really makes it's obvious how that environment has an impact on your health.
You're also not around, work environment or family or whatever it is that stresses you on a day-to-day basis. That's gone. So for a momentary period, you're actually able to relax. The next thing is that responsibility is actually taken off your shoulders, which can be a huge burden for some. Every treatment is intensified and heightened due to the synergistic therapies, and that's a really important point. And then also you're around like-minded people, so you feel less alone.
Yeah. Now, here is a chart, and you've seen that on the waiting page. This is, and really, everybody is slightly different. So when you look at the chart and you go to a clinic, most patients come with ground zero, like really sick, depleted, low energy, depleted. They have a lot of different issues. And I need to put my face in to show that. It was really significant when we stayed in some clinics and new patients came in, new patient intake. We called them the zombies. It was not really nice, but it was quite true. They came miserable, they were grumpy, they were angry, they were frustrated, they were full with fear. And you could feel that. And yourself, when you run out of energy, when you run out of that healing force, that's when you really get miserable. It's like children when they're overtired, then they get miserable. And that's the same with normal people or adults. And after they were there and they got their first IVs and they got their first PEMF and they got ozone and all of that is energy enhancing, it really builds up more and more momentum. More oxygen in the system leads to more energy and ATP production. Detoxification sets in, then sauna treatment, and all of that is all building up energy. And all of a sudden, after a week, they were nice people. and after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they were friends. And that was so significant. And when you observe that factor, it is not that one magic treatment that does it. It's actually the combination of them. So detoxification, let me talk about the first one. And you will find that, whether that's in Irvine, in Dr. Corneli's clinic, or in Mexico, in any of the clinics, or in Europe, they all have saunas, steam bath, poultices, clay bath. Some of them do it more luxurious. They have those super clay bath and poultices that you get on. That pulling out toxins and sweating and relaxing is really important. And that's why when we talk about the sauna treatments, you will find that we not only use it as hypothermia, you can use the dome for sauna too. So pulling out toxins, then ozone in the clinic works faster than if you do it at home. So if you go into a clinic and they do a 10 pass, well, you pretty much compensate for a week of rectal insufflations or even more. So for patients who are seriously infected, serious latent infections, that's like a massive kickstart to do 2 or 3 of those, and it brings them straight away to a level where they can start to recover. PEMF, again, is a treatment that just feeds you with energy. And the biggest issue is when you start increasing membrane potential and you detoxify, all of a sudden nutrients can go in. And you see that, they do IV nutrition. Not all clinics, actually some. I was kind of disappointed once I learned how important it is. I realized that many don't even do tests or find out whether you're low in zinc, or they test in normal serum, which really doesn't help. So doing it in full blood and checking out and then balancing out your nutrition levels and your iodine levels and your selenium, and wow, and all of a sudden you get that massive boom combined with PEMF to take up the nutrients. This is phenomenal. So you can see in that first week, you really ramp up your energy, you ramp up your immunity, you restore the body into a kind of balance. And then week 2 and 3, this whole thing explodes. Now, in European clinics, local hypothermia has become the 4th pillar, even in conventional clinics, because they notice when they do local hypothermia, even in combination with chemo, and they inject chemo directly into the tumor, or like in Frankfurt at the university clinic, they surgically tie off all the blood vessels that go to the tumor and then inject chemotherapy and put the patient into local hypothermia. And that really puts heat onto the tumor in combination with chemotherapy and other supplements, and the tumor just disintegrates. So there is so many possibilities to use. And that's why local hypothermia in the clinic is something you can't replicate.
No.
But it's a 2-hour treatment. So if you have the possibility, they're now available in America, they're available in Australia. We have 3 clinics that offer local hypothermia. They're available in New Zealand. So it's something that establishes more and more because it increases the success rate. So if you have the possibility to add that to your program, you will find that that will make a very big difference, at least for solid tumors. So you can see this here. Now, Dr. Rao, he said it really nice. And that was one of the things where I was always, he said, oh, patients come at ground zero. Then we built them up, we get them into that healing phase, and they still have some rest tumor, they still have some, and then they go home after 3 weeks. And because you keep on supplementation, that's something they give you. You go home with supplementation. Many of them might have a long-term 2, 3, 4 week effect from full body hypothermia. It's a long-term effect to produce more white blood cells and boost your health. And they do at home their sauna and their supplements and sweating and all of that. It may stretch for a while, but after half a year or a year, that's going back to where it was. And he said it's always the same. Bring them up to health, and then slowly it goes back. Then they come back and it goes back up, because you'll never get to that phase where it's completely gone. So, and this is where I found the biggest problem. We have so many patients that thought, after 3 weeks in Germany, I'm going to be cured. I'll go home and I don't need anything else anymore. Well,
like the magic pill.
Take the magic pill.
Yes.
And it's a fortune that they paid. Some of them have taken mortgages on their house. They, it's often the question. We had a friend and he was like, do I take all the money that I would leave my wife if I die my wife and my children, is that something I want to leave them with nothing, with a big mortgage or with a big debt, and I still die? I don't think that's fair. So it's that balancing factor, and I think it's a very valid question. So this is where we really look at the drawbacks in that whole process. And again, if you have the money, do it. It's
Absolutely.
really cool.
Just to get that first impact and then continue on with maintenance, which we'll go into.
I'll show in a moment.
Next. Clinics are obviously high cost and repetitive visits. Often patients go back 4 times to a clinic. Travel expenses and time to break away, obviously flying to Europe or other clinics throughout.
Even Mexico, it's a big thing. Hotel cost.
Yep, travel costs. They use everything they have and hope one treatment works. And that's another big point. It's not just one treatment. It is, again, the combination. Yeah.
It's also something that I would like to clarify, because we have so many patients, they say, if I buy a PEMF, does that cure my cancer? And I think that's why we are putting so much focus on this. It's not just one treatment that kills cancer and then you go back to normal life. It's, first of all, that understanding. And I think that's the last point. You do not empower yourself and become more and more dependent. What we really like, and this is something I found super powerful, many clinics have training, they have education, they share with you what they know, how you can change your life, what you need to keep doing, what kind of treatments you can do at home, because they realize that it is mandatory that you do that. So when we sell you...
Everyone can do a treatment, but if you actually understand why you do the treatment, first of all, you're more willing to actually do it.
Yeah.
So...
Okay.
Keep up.
Keep up. Is it possible to recreate these therapies at home?
Yes.
It's definitely more stress. And I say that outright. When we had our first dome, I was probably the first one to say, hey, I can do that myself. IV, I learned how to do it. And then I picked my needle. I'm pretty rough in that concern until I found the vein. I was bruised and looks really funny, but I made it.
Nobody listened to this.
Pulled out my blood, washed it with ozone, dripped it back. I said, I'll try that myself. Hypothermia, I have to admit, was scary, because I saw those patients in the clinic going like, oh, that was tough. I said, do we do it? And then we bought a dome, a normal sauna dome, and started the treatments. And I think I was in there for an hour and it was still not heating up. The body core temperature, until it rises, needs a massive amount of momentum. So we had a lot of treatments trying out, and until I then increased the intensity, increased the power, we changed the frequency of our heaters. And then the first one still took about 45 minutes. And now we're at about 20 to 30 minutes to get to temperature 101.3, which is our initial startup temperature, or 38.5, 39 Celsius, where the body kicks into that fever momentum. And so we tried, and it was scary. Sabrina, I never forget when she went in, she was like, oh, do I have to? And it was scary. Sabrina, Deborah, the same thing. It was like...
Let's just say it's not the easiest therapy.
No. Well, PEMF is easy. Yes. Everybody does it, and everybody does it all the time. So it's dependent on which therapy we talk about. But if you set up a home clinic and you want to replicate that whole process, then you will find that doing it yourself is kind of scary. And then where do I go? I never forget Trish. She went and talked to 10 doctors. Where can I get an IV ozone, IV vitamin C and artemisinin inject or IV treatment? So she found a local practitioner that was willing to do it. So she went, first she had PEMF at home to open up all the cells and to increase the uptake, especially over the tumors. Then she went into the clinic and had IV treatment there. And then she went back home and started the dome and went into hypothermia, because that's the clinic. They do it in the clinic with hypothermia and IV treatments, just shortly after each other or at the same time. And that increases the effects dramatically. So she was doing that, and it worked. It worked for so many years. Like when you think about how dead she should have been, 8 years,
yeah.
6 years. It was really amazing. And for that, I believe we have a little bit more stress in setting it up. But once you get into a routine and you do it regularly, and you do it once a week or twice a week, and you rather stretch it out over a longer period of time, you're not in stress. See, a clinic needs to be 3 weeks maximum, so that when you leave, that you have maximum results. And that's understandable. And that's why they need to put so much effort in and so much energy. You can say, I put the treatment in and I allow my body to deal with it. And then I go into the next treatment, but you do it over time. And I think this is our slide. And I really, really like that. It shows you that you might start a lot slower. And a lot of people, when they say, I've done already 3 weeks of ozone and I don't feel anything. Your red blood cells live 126 days, I think is the time. 20 days? Yeah. Okay, I added 6. So 120 days. And when you create with ozone, with regular ozone insufflation, it triggers the production of new red blood cells that have much higher intensity of hemoglobin, are more pliable, more flexible. They take up more oxygen, they release more oxygen. Well, then it takes a time until all of your red blood cells are changed. So it's not like doing the treatment like with an IV 10 pass. It's slowly progression over time. And you can see ozone, I put it here 4 weeks, very, very gentle, very slow. And PMF can work very, very powerful in the beginning, because you have such a massive amount of toxins flush out, so that you need to actually slow down, so that you don't get nauseated, that you don't get headaches. I've just had a client, he started out with PMF, and in the beginning he got headaches and he was unwell. Slow down. We'll talk about the effects. IV. If you take supplements instead of IV treatments, and you work with a nutritionist, you change your diet and you add your supplements until they're taken up into the system, it's not as intense as getting daily IVs. But over time, it will increase. With PMF, you absorb, let's say 60%, and before you did 10% or 20%, the rest goes into the poo and toilet. So it's really important that you give yourself more time, but therefore you don't need to squeeze all of that money into a 3-week treatment and then hope it works. You build up and you gain more and more and more momentum. The more toxins you flush out, the more infections you reduce, the more energy you build up, the more oxygen uptake you have, the more alkaline your body becomes due to the oxygen.
And remember, it's not just a 3-week process. It's something that actually needs to be continued, which is why that is so powerful, because you can do it in a slower, more realistic manner at home, but you can continue it. So you don't have that peak, but then the drop, you can actually keep it going at that level.
Exactly. And you can earn some money in the meantime so that you can finance the process. Yeah. And we'll talk about that. Which is
a really big factor that people don't think about, that those 3 weeks are so expensive.
And like I said, if you have a doctor that does IV treatments, in Bad Aibling, Dr. Dowers, they have an outpatient station. And they actually come, all the Europeans or Germans who have the possibility to do that, they don't travel from overseas. They don't stay as inpatient with hotel costs and nursing costs and 50 treatments all at once. They go there for local hypothermia. They go there for their IV, and then they go back home.
It's specific.
And it really makes a massive difference in your expenses and in the flow. But, and this is coming back to it again, every part of the puzzle plays a role. And we'll talk about that pretty soon, because PEMF detoxifies heavy metals. Not so much, and neurotoxins, that's very well known. And neurotoxins are toxins produced by bacteria. But they don't really work on plastic toxins as well. So there is a big difference. Whereas if you do ozone treatment, that detoxify petrochemicals, pharmaceuticals, all the plastic toxins, all the pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides. So you have a massive detox with ozone on a different level, on a different subject than if you have a heavy metal toxicity. Again, bacteria overgrowth is very well treated with PEMF as well, because you increase the circulation, but ozone would do that as well. So it's really coming from those two angles will help you a lot more. And that's why you find that those clinics have such a high success rate, because they combine all those treatments together. And I can tell you, if you want to save money, if you use hypothermia, which is a tough treatment, as we said, but it compensates for so much detox that many clinics said, we don't need anything else. Somebody does sauna twice a week and once a week hypothermia, they are far ahead of the game. So it's the cheaper treatment than buying PEMF, but you still have the same effects. So like I said, I talk in the last video about how to do it on a minimum budget, how to do it on a medium budget, and how to do it if you're rich.
I think a really big question that everyone asks is, why do these treatments work so well? And that's because they work at the root cause of all diseases. And that's why together they actually touch on so many pieces of the puzzle that you actually have a fairly complete picture.
Yeah. Next. I just wanted to show you, if you go to a clinic and you want to avoid that drop down when you come home, you have that continuous hypothermia. And again, we have quite a few clinics. They introduce their clients to the dome, or they send them to our training, and then they order a dome on their way home, because they keep going. And there is one huge advantage. If you had that treatment 2 or 3 times with a nurse, and you know what to do, what to look out for, how it's done, you have that certainty and safety of having it done in a protected environment.
The stress
it's
is gone.
far easier to keep going at home. So the stress is gone. Same thing with diet and supplementation. You know, they get all the IVs to build up massively, and then they keep going home with maintenance, and it works far better. PEMF the same. Ozone is actually a long-term process. Like Dr. Schallenberger said, if you have no effects with ozone, it's just purely because you haven't done it long enough. It will always have effects on so many levels. It just takes a long time. Now, from the clinic, they get that big boost in the beginning due to 10-pass and daily major autohemotherapy, but then you can still take that home, and sauna detox supplementation as well. Actually, on one of the slides, I had the other treatments, and I just wanted to check. Yeah, up here. See, I marked local hypothermia with blue, and that would be a treatment. If I have a solid tumor, that would be a treatment. I look up who does it, where can I have it in my environment, and then book myself a treatment and do that, let's say, in conjunction with the discussion with the doctor for a certain time, to really break down that tumor tissue, to reduce the toxic load. It's actually really great. Same thing, IV. I would look for a local practitioner that does it. And then you can order, you know, mistletoe in New Zealand, in Australia. There's so many places where you can order. TCMAF you can order. Plus you can try out, does it really have an effect? Do I see a change? UBI is something that you definitely need a practitioner, because it's a big process. But there's plenty of clinics in America that offer that treatment. Coffee enema, you do at home. Hydrocolon therapy, I think just here at Sunshine Coast, where we live, we have 9 or so practitioners. And it's so helpful. And you know what? Tell the practitioner to take an ozone bundle and infuse the hydrogen, hydrocolon therapy afterwards with ozone. All of them around here do. It's phenomenal. And the results are so much better. And then you have the photodynamic. I think it's mostly practiced in Mexico. Just check with them whether you can buy the equipment. You need those little vials. But you can do a lot there too. So it's something you can really build up or use the clinic as an outpatient. So coming back to where we were.
Effort.
I let Deborah talk about that because I said I'll take that slide. But
you definitely said you'd take this slide. Like we said beforehand, hypothermia is the biggest effort. You do it once a week, but the treatment itself can take up to 3 hours. And it is something where you then need to take the rest of the day relaxing. So it is definitely a therapy that takes up.
It's an afternoon therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, pulling me in.
Yeah. It doesn't help if I turn my computer.
Do you want me to go through all the points here?
No. Just take
ozone.
You can read that.
It's something you can actually do 7 days a week.
It's 5 minutes in the morning.
It takes no time. It's honestly about finding a routine or a habit where you can actually implement it. I would say, obviously, ozone is the easiest because you can do it while you're working, sitting on the couch.
PEMF.
Yes, PEMF.
Not ozone.
No, not ozone.
Let me go back to ozone. I was probably the worst in discipline because filling that insufflation bag and then going to the bathroom, and then I was in the bathroom, I had my bowel movement, and then, I forgot the ozone. I'll do it later.
Effort.
Yeah, and maybe, it's like I'm not good with establishing health routines. Some people are, I'm not. The only time when it really changed, and I actually installed an electric point from the outside wall, drilled through and put a plug on the other side so that I could set up the ozone machine right beside the toilet, the oxygen bottle in the corner, and then connected my hose and my catheter, and that was it. I could do it right beside the toilet while or after I had my bowel movement. And that changed my game. So if you have problems with routine and setting it up and doing it in consistency, that made a massive difference. So I think we just need to find that, well, some of you have the motivation.
And the discipline.
But if you don't, make it as convenient as possible and put it in the calendar. Hypothermia, the same thing. Write down, you have, and put yourself a 6-week span. 6 weeks, every week, once, same day. Do it in the afternoon. So you have the treatment that you're finished about 5 or 6, and then stay in bed. You'll sweat like like having a cold. And you stay in bed, you read a book, you sleep, and you enjoy the time. See, I will talk in the hypothermia webinar about practices, how to improve, how to enhance the treatment, how to prepare for the treatment, how to make your body respond to fever much better. So if you do those things and you do them regularly and you have everything prepared, it's like your time out. And I think we forgot in that previous slide one point to mention, and I just go back just to do it. Establish a routine. No, reserve a personal space and time where you can feel safe and protected during therapy. See, a lot of us, and I know that from a lot of women, children and pick up and this and that and the husband, and then I need to cook. And I don't know why males are a lot more selfish to just break away and do what they need to do. But females have that super responsibility to care for everyone else but themselves. And when you go into a clinic, wow, you know, like, oh, somebody's like spa. It's so beautiful.
You can let go.
Exactly. Plan that time. Say, this is my time. Every morning I have 1 hour for my scrubbing, for my treatments, for my build-up, for my personal meditation while I sit in the sauna or something, or do it in the evening. It doesn't matter.
It's a self-care time.
It's self-care time, and where you feel safe and where you told the whole family that this is a rule. See, if you would come home and say, I'm going to work and I will be gone from this and this time, everybody says,
Okay.
cool. But if you say, I'm going to look after myself, they will say, no, I need you more for this and I need you for that. So build that framework where you say, this is me time.
But you also don't want to be stressed within that me time, or I need to quickly finish so I can go do this. You actually want to submerge yourself in it for the full effects.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the routine.
I mean, hypothermia can be a beautiful therapy also psychologically. So many actually release emotions that they've stored because heat can bring that out. So they're definitely really important to find the space for you to actually embrace that.
All right. Now let's look at the last one. Couch potato treatment. See, I just turn off the slides very short.
Trying to show that one.
Yeah, let me just turn off the slides. Where are the slides? Here, slides. And I hope we start at that point again. But see, I'm sitting here at my office desk. This is my desk. And now I'm sitting on the cable.
We knew this would happen.
And it's all fiddled through the foot. See, this is my Mac pad. I need to untangle that. Sorry. It was all twisted up. Okay, this is my Mac pad. And I have that behind me in my chair. So I lean against it and it covers my whole upper body. So from my sacral and my kidneys and between my shoulder blades, my lungs, my thyroid, everything is covered within that means. So if I use this in my chair and I sit here, this is really beautiful. I just lean back and turn the machine on for 5 minutes, 10 minutes while I sit and type. And I keep doing that. Now I have the benefit of using a duo, which means two. So I put the loop underneath my butt and I sit on it. So I get power from underneath and I get power from behind. I turn that on, you know, it depends. I'm testing how much is too much. So I'm at the moment on probably about 7 times, 10 minutes a day. And I love it. I don't think there is a big, I tried out really one after the other, and kept on going. And all of a sudden I got seriously tired. And I think it's just, I blew all fuses. So you don't do that. Just always check how much can you do where it still feels good, where you enjoy it, where your energy levels go up. As soon as you get to that point where you actually get tired, where you get headaches, where things go right, that's when you stop or slow down. And we'll talk about side effects and practices afterwards, but it's a couch potato treatment. You can do that anywhere. And I tell you what,
it's the easiest therapy to implement.
I have no one that doesn't travel with their PEMF.
Very true. Even grandparents cannot live without the PEMF.
My mom, 3 hours every day. I don't know. She sits and she says, oh, it gets nice and warm. If I run it 3 or 4 times, it gets really nice and warm and I snuggle into my... She couldn't live without. She's 90 now. So it's at that age, maybe you need that extra energy, but she's clear and fit and mind crystal clear. So Sabrina's mom, she's the same. Like when she comes, we met in America, halfway from Germany, and she traveled along with her little suitcase. And the first thing she unpacked was her PEMF. It is something that all my clients do. It's when you get used to it, you really don't want to miss it. What do we do? Start presentation.
Oh, it's going to start from the right
it starts on the right spot.
Nice.
Okay. Swimming uphill. Now that's something that I tell myself, not you, because I probably need that most. And if you have a benefit of learning from my mistakes, I eat a tiny bit of grain and I get tendonitis. My body just does that. I hate it. You know, just a little bit, if I cheat somewhere, if I go out and I think, today it won't matter, I get instantly tendonitis, Achilles tendonitis. And for those of you who know how that feels, you dibble around like an old fuddy-duddy. I hate that. You know, you can't jump anymore, you can't bounce, you can't walk upstairs. It really turns you instantly into an old man. So how often do I need to prove that to myself?
A few times.
I hope I'm not the only one who has that problem. But it is swimming uphill. I injected ozone into my tendons with the needle. You know, I did PEMF on there. I do everything. A little bit of grain, and it actually doesn't matter. I can eat gluten-free grain. It still comes.
That's the whole illusion that if we use one therapy, whether that PEMF or ozone or hypothermia, and we're not removing things that actually feed the problem, well, we can do all of them and we still feel the negative effects of, for example, a food sensitivity.
And I think it starts with a food sensitivity, and then it becomes a very intense food sensitivity, and then it turns into an allergy. I can eat today a bread, and tomorrow I have tendonitis. So it's not even delayed anymore. It's not like 2 or 3 days later. It's pretty much instant. So I've overdone that over a long time, and that was like swimming uphill. I tried every treatment. It just didn't work. And that's what I thought. If you have leaky gut, and a lot of people say, I do ozone now and rectal insufflation, that triggers leaky gut. Glyphosate instantly dissolves in your body all tight junctions. So, you know, like on one side you use ozone to heal your leaky gut, and on the other side you eat glyphosate and you kill it, or you spray happily in your garden so that you don't have any weed. There is a swimming uphill, and you realize salmon, when they travel uphill to spawn, they die at the end. It's very, very exhausting, and it's a tough process to jump those big hurdles. So don't do that. Just check out what drains my energy, what causes my discomfort. And if you figure that out, that's when everything changes. And then the healing happens. Yeah. All right.
Moving on.
Okay, PEMF. So first of all, I do not go through PEMF treatments because we've created the new PEMFtraining.com. You know, our PEMF expert training is now 9 years or 10 years old. And some things are overhauled. Some things are not quite up to standard anymore. But because we have hundreds of thousands of views on those videos, I didn't want to take them down. So what we've done is we deactivated them. They are unlisted in YouTube, and we put the new ones out. And I'm at the moment just publishing them all. So if you go to PEMFtraining.com, you find all the updated videos, all the new ones, and they contain up-to-date research and information. Far better than the old ones. You know, we all learn. And the first one is, what is PEMF and how does it work? And that was a bit of a mission, because when you look at the research, it's actually not that clear-cut.
No.
And how it works. And I always have my technical genius here, and Dad, would you mind explaining that again? Not everybody is a scientist or physical nature. I love this stuff. So I went into a lot of more research to explain it. Really, it's easy and simple. We cover detoxification with PEMF. What is really important? How does it work? How does your cell dispel toxins? you can get many different binders, and I talk about them in the third video. But the black box is, for example, a really sophisticated subject and a box that has everything in it that you need. Now, for those of you who are seriously toxic and you start out with PMF, that combination is like liquid gold. We've seen people recover in half the time, because when you detoxify and you just take binders, you might still lack all the minerals that your body needs to flush out the toxins from your liver. You have not milk thistle. You know better. All the synergistic
detoxification is often a question, like a juice or just a treatment, but actually we need to support the liver and all the cells which detoxify with all the cofactors for that to actually work properly. And we detoxify every day, every cell, every minute. It's not just something we do for 2 weeks and then it's done. It's something we need to actually support, which with a therapy such as PMF, it's really important to actually feed those organs so that it can work the best possible way. But I think we go into that next.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then we go into oscillating and high intensity PMF. What frequency is your device? Do I need to set frequency? Why don't I get a program for the frequencies to set? We don't need frequencies. It's such a powerful treatment. Think about you sing along and then something starts to vibrate along. That's oscillating. And it slowly has an effect. If you run a frequency range from 20 frequencies, 25 frequencies, and you run each 1 minute to get through the range to cover all different organs, well, then you have 1 minute for your liver, 1 minute for your kidney, 1 minute for your bones. And that's why oscillating devices take a long time to take effect. Here, you push one pulse wave through the body that is so powerful that every cell at once, liver cell, kidney cell, bone cell, every cell is enhanced and flushed and activated at the same time. So we don't care about frequency. When I set this to the lowest, you hear, and if I go a little bit slower, and you can see it already has a massive pulse, and I go up, then that is extreme magnet waves, that I don't need to do for hours.
No.
I do it for 10 minutes. And everything is recharged, everything is pulsed. So it really makes a massive difference. And I explain that in the video. Then high intensity PMF for different diseases, how you treat, what is important, why they work on those diseases, how they increase glutamine. Was it glutamine to enhance ATP? Yeah.
Throwing a nutrient
my biochemical understanding is always
you're good at the magnetic stuff.
But it certainly and all the research is there. So when you go through that video, PMF for different diseases, it really is conclusive.
You're talking about glutathione, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah,
took me a minute.
Sound similar. And then we have the 5-position or 6-position recharge. Really helpful, because you can do in 10 minutes or 15 minutes a full body recharge, and every organ is activated. So, and then cancer, osteoporosis, and bones. So we cover a lot of those issues, and there will be plenty more videos coming. We just finished the page and just set it up. We had some glitches. It's all working now. So let us go through this chart. You remember in the beginning, we had the chart with all those points that you can't read in the back. So I decided to make this chart and show you exactly which parts are affected by PMF, and especially which causes that drive disease. And Deborah, if you want to go through that.
Just like I said beforehand, everyone always asks, does this therapy work for this specific disease? But we need to take that step back and look at it from a functional medicine point of view. We're not treating a disease. We are actually looking at the root causes that have actually resulted in that disease to actually develop. So if you look at the I don't know if you want to draw at the same time to make it more visual, but if you look here, PMF works on the mental system. So stress, trauma, depression, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS. So it's a whole list there.
It's not a very elegant drawing.
That's all right. It works on lifestyle habits in terms of exercise. So supporting your muscles and the
Let me go back. Stress and trauma, depression, chronic, incurable depression, and again, it's in the program when you go through the training. Chronic, incurable, and I love the word when they say incurable depression, and the ICRM rate, you know, where they do all the tests, it's a scale how they measure the depression. Went down by 73%. People went back to a normal life. That's huge. And you'd need the smallest device. You just get, and I just do it again because I just love switching back and forth. You know, the smallest device. This is.
One moment. Clear. Oh, you need to turn off drawing. There we go.
Drawing. Okay. This is the smallest device. This is the Clinic Mono, which means has one applicator. If you use that and you connect your big loop and you do treatments over your head and you just rotate around and you feed it to the back and you bring it to the front, they use that for Alzheimer, Parkinson's, glaucoma, cataracts, tinnitus, dental problems, teeth problems.
Everything.
Everything. And it's not because we treat disease, it's because we actually treat the cause, the root cause of disease, which is
heavy
lack
metals,
of energy, heavy metals.
Mitochondrial dysfunction.
This is a powerful treatment. You box from both sides. You bring that butterfly around here, and then you slowly move it, you know, step by step in a 5-minute process around. They use that. And again, I got the picture sent from a clinic in Portugal, in Spain. They do this for cataracts and for glaucoma. They put the patient on the bed, they lay down, and they treat the face. Oops, my glasses are gone. The smallest device. And you do the treatment on level 1 or 2 or maybe 3, depending on patient. I have people that turn it up to 5. I don't know if that's good for your brain. We have no research on that. Just do it as it's comfortable. And if you have big problems, you know, with reactions, just turn it down. It's so easy. You can use it for dental treatments like that. You can use it for dental treatments like that. In Switzerland, when they do dental treatments, they all do PMF before you get an extraction, before you have surgery, before you have anything done. And then afterwards, you go into the PMF room. You still have your cotton and everything in there. They take you in, they lay you down, and then you have PMF treatment. The patient doesn't get infections, they don't get swelling, they don't have big cheeks and walk around, and inflammation. All gone with that. And don't stress which applicator, for which process, for where, whatever works. You know, if you fit this one nicely over and you can lay down or you can read a book, then that's cool. If you can put it like this, it's good too. And if you use the big loop and you hold it like that, it's fine as well. So don't make that into a science. The only thing important is that the strongest effect is always in the center of the loop. So if I want to treat my shoulder because I dislocated that, then I put that here. If I want to treat my shoulder because I dislocated that, then I put that here so that I box from both sides. You can come from this and move it around and come from front and back. It always works.
There's no wrong way to do
exactly.
that. Did him. Yeah, so if we look at that systemic health, it supports, you know, the balance between acidity and alkalinity. specifically with deficiencies. It helps with the uptake of nutrients again.
You're jumping.
I am jumping. Chronic inflammation, specifically joints and bones. It actually increases bone density. It's amazing. Things like osteoporosis or
cartilage rebuild. Yeah. If you have bone on bone in your knees or your elbows and you start using PMF, you rebuild your cartilage. You rebuild a healthy joint. So they use it before you go and have a knee replacement. You put it on and it takes 6 weeks, 8 weeks. It's not like 2 times done and then it's gone. And see, this is where we often go wrong. We think, oh, I do the treatment 2 times. Can I try it out 2 times and see if it works? And that's not the process how you do it. You really need to stick to it. Also, when you do PMF and you add all those minerals and nutrients that help with the body repair, so you supplement accordingly. Like I said, that's why I love that black box, because it has not only the detox, it has also all the support pathways that help you with your body to restore. And that makes a massive difference.
Well, if you think about it, if you fracture a bone in your ankle or you have a tendon that rips, you don't just put the PMF on once and then it's fixed. It takes weeks to heal. But actually, when you apply PMF therapy, you can reduce that because it's sped up the healing process. And I think that's the way you actually need to look at it. I got all 4 of my wisdom teeth removed, and I pretty much laid on the PMF machine, and I didn't end up taking any painkillers for that. So there's so many different ways.
And no swelling and no problems.
No infections, nothing associated with that.
You remember when I had my broken wrist because I fell down a mountain? I put it on and I put it on my desk. And I tell you what, it's nice to have that beside your office desk. I had my hand in the butterfly, front, side, backwards, the whole day long. I went after 5 days or 6 days. I already loosened my cast because I just didn't like it. And then I went to the doctor and they checked and they said, you can't take it off. It's way too early. And in the end, he took it off and it was absolutely fine. Bone healing, tendon repair, cartilage repair is incredibly fast. If you use it for tumor growth, you know, like they do it in Germany and mostly in Switzerland, they actually use the butterfly or the paddle. And the paddle is very concentrated, narrow beam. So if you want to reach maximum power, you go small. The bigger you go, like with the big loop, you have a lot less power. So if you go for the pad, it's even less. That's why we don't sell a full body mat, because it just deflects the power so down that you really don't really feel it. And we had a few studies now come back where they tried on level 10, on level 5 and level 2 to check out. And the healing time is on level 10 and level 5 so much faster. It really, and that's why it pays to have a strong device. So when you do that, and let's say you have pancreatic or you have liver cancer, then really put that on here, hold your hand over the top so that you get as close as possible. And, you know, skinny people get closer, but you can do that when you use it for cystic breast disease. You can go and lead it back underneath your arm and underneath your breast. It's really so easy. Where you have inflammation, where you have problems, that's where you put the energy to really start that healing process.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was just marking questions so that I don't get completely lost.
Are there many?
There's a few. All right. Is there anything else you want to add on?
Well, I would like to just mention very short, bacteria overgrowth in knees. The very strong PMF machines, they really sapped them. So they had incredible results with knee infections and infections in joints and bacterial. It didn't have any effect on viral, except boosting your immune system and boosting your immunity. But in general, the virus is not infected. Dental, which is bacteria, that's why it works so well. And parasites, this is anecdotal, and a lot of people tell you that. I have never seen it myself, and I'm actually not keen to see it. But they said when they put their PMF on their belly while they sit on the toilet, actually the worms came out. So, ta-da, and it's not one, it's many people who told me. You'll have to try it out if you have worms and tell me if it's true. I don't have them and I don't want to see it. Toxins, really important, heavy metals. And you can see neurotoxins, but no plastic and petrochemicals, herbicides, fungicides. It's not really effective. That's why the combination of PMF and ozone is so powerful, because it really helps you flush out all the toxins. Or if you don't have PMF, you use hypothermia as a treatment, because you sweat out. It's deep tissue release of toxins. You sweat out and you poo and pee out afterwards, after hypothermia, huge amounts of toxins. Infections, like I said, deficiencies, is significantly improved with PMF. And that's why patients who go to IV treatments and have PMF, they absorb a lot more. Now, when you think about how much it costs you for an IV and how many you need to do, it's a balancing act, and it really depends. But the absorption is far better. And then body systems, again, urinary health, if you sit on it, incontinence.
Same timing.
What did they call it when you said at the same time? Okay.
Twinning?
No. Urinary health, respiratory health, and immune health are very, very powerfully enhanced. Good. Next. This is actually part of the training and the first part of why PMF works. And I just like to give you really that one part that is the only thing you need to understand if you don't want to. Now our picture is on the other side, and I have all those cells down here. This is the only thing you need to really remember. When you look at a young potato, tight skin, fresh. When you look at an old potato, shrivelly and shrinkly, it's pretty much like humans. As we get old, we get all those wrinkles, and the skin is starting to sag, and no toxins come out anymore. You realize when you're young, you sweat a lot and you smell and everything comes out. As you get older, you don't have smelly feet anymore. You don't have those wet hands. The perspiration stops, which also means you keep the whole lot in. And your nutrient uptake is getting less and less. The main factor for that is because all your cells start to get tired. They block up, they shrivel up. And as soon as you put negative ions, not just in fresh air and sunshine, which already helps. So if you go out and you walk along the beach or through a forest, you absorb negative ions. But here we have, like Dr. Rao called it, an ion shooter. You have massive amounts of ions pushed in such high velocity through the body like a lightning strike. And that clears out all of those membrane blockages. And all of a sudden, your cell can take up nutrients. Now, the red dot here, that are toxins, and I can show you that in the next slide a lot better. They sit in those membrane receptors, ion channels, potassium channels, glucose channels. There's 100 different channels on every cell who take up different nutrients. And they block up with heavy metals, with toxins, with plastic toxins. Now, with that massive shock wave that you send through, should be shown here, boom, you sent them all out into the plasma. Now that's where you need those binders to hold onto those toxins to get rid of it. And that's why we always say supplementation and PMF should go hand in hand. The more you eliminate, so it's just not settling somewhere else, toxin out of that cell, back into this cell, that really doesn't help. And that's headaches and nausea and bad feeling. So first of all, gentle, drink a lot of water, and then put out those toxins in a way that your body can eliminate. Again, if you have that feeling, do it once a day for 10 minutes. Where are we? Down here?
Down here. Next.
Once a day for 10 minutes. And then do it twice a day for 10 minutes. And then go a little bit further. It really is important. Now you put us on that side again. And that is such a change. You build up slowly. You remember the curve? We don't need to rush. We don't need to hurry. We don't need to fix this thing in 3 weeks. We have time. And because you can do it for the next 10 years, like steady and consistently build up. Don't stress. You don't need to get rid of cancer overnight. It doesn't work anyway.
No.
So,
or any chronic degenerative disease.
Plus, you exhaust yourself too much, and then you say, it didn't do me well. I have clients that call me and said, Marcus, can I return the PMF? Every time I do the treatment, I get really sick and it doesn't feel good and I have problems. Ta-da! What did I tell? Slow down, do it gentle, drink a lot, binders, bring it gently out. If you get sick, you have a lot of toxins. So you need to do it gentle. You need to do it carefully and build up more and more. There is no sprint. There is a marathon to be won. One thing about the black box, you can read the article on trulyheal.com black box, but the most important is it covers also mold toxins, plastic compounds, hormone metabolites, really important, herbicides and pesticides, and it's very easily absorbed through that system,
it's sublingual.
Sublingual system.
Yeah. Safety.
Okay. I have that. Let me go into files and
share that.
Where's my PMF checklist? Add a new one.
File.
And file. PEMF checklist.
So PMF therapy is a very safe therapy. So we'll go through and we'll find the file for you guys to download. But there's lots of research done on it, both in terms of actually finding out the safety of it, but then again, all the studies done for all the effects, they've shown very, very little adverse side effects. There we go.
You should see now the PMF checklist, and you can download that. It should have popped up. Yeah. I deleted before instead of shared.
That's
okay. So you have that list. You get the hypothermia, ozone, and laser checklist in each of the webinars so that we cover those.
Yep.
And slides next.
So this will answer a few of the questions. So there are some contraindications, not many. If you look at the contraindications for some drugs, it's really limited in comparison to that. So the first is implanted electrical devices. So pacemakers, anything like a cochlear implant, because the magnetic field of a PMF machine can actually shut down the device because both of them work within that same magnetic frequency. That's probably the most important. First up, people who undergo an organ transplant, they receive...
Can I just shortly?
Yep, jump in.
With the pacemaker, talk to your doctor. If you have a pacemaker of the later generation, which is not stone old, then they are shielded and they really do well. It's more like when you do a treatment and somebody comes in and sits down and they have their hearing aids in, sensitive elderly devices which are not shielded, they blow. I can use my microphone. It doesn't have an effect. I can use my mobile phone. You know, my Apple is shielded like crazy. I've had it in the middle of the loop and turned it on to check it out, and there is no effect. So it's more like elderly
Safety,
devices.
ask questions.
But ask your doctor first. Don't just treat. And then you also notice when I have the device, let's say I have here in the middle 2,000 Gauss. Then I have here 400. So if you treat everywhere around your body, you can go full blast. I just wouldn't go over your heart with that intensity. So 20 centimeters away, there's hardly any, output. That's why when you see the charts in our training, you can see how far you go away. And we have 6,000 Gauss here. And then 10 centimeters above, we have only 400 Gauss. So it really diminishes over distance. So you can still treat your knees and everything, just not directly over your heart.
But they have to be mentioned to be safe. That's
we don't want you to stop breathing.
Oops. So with organ transplants, the reason why is because the immune suppression medication, we really don't want to stimulate that and therefore result in an organ rejection. Pregnancy, simply have to say that there is no evidence regarding its safety or non-safety. Therefore, it is every woman's own choice.
I would like to add here, if you are healthy and you've detoxed, let's say, for a year before, and you have gotten rid of most of your toxins and you feel good and you do PMF, it certainly is fantastic for the baby. If you do the treatment while you're pregnant for the first time and you flush out huge amounts of toxins, where do they go? To the baby. It's the same bloodstream. So common sense. Don't do it for the first time when you're pregnant.
Yeah, it's called preparation. I think that's important regardless. Caution in Graves' disease, so hyperthyroidism, anything that's hyperactive. This is just because PMF is quite powerful, so it can actually stimulate, which is in that case not as beneficial. Dental implants or mechanical heart valves, metal stents, for example. You can explain that.
Only if you have the very strong PMTs.
Yeah.
With the clinic mono, you don't have a problem. There will be no rupture or any problem. It's just the very strong, and especially the super, like the PMT double or the PMT mono, they are really powerful. So you wouldn't hold that loop directly over your stent, over your area. You just keep it further away or use it on level, 5 or 4 or 6, but not full blast.
And the last one is breast implants. So there is the risk of aggravating them if you put the PMF directly over an implant, depending again on what kind of implant, how old they are,
how toxic they are, because you flush out more toxins out of that silicone bag than you do good. So it's sometimes
again common sense.
Yes. Okay, side effects.
Mild ones. So, I'll just catch up. So there can be a small Herxheimer reaction. Again, this is because we're detoxing. Sometimes we can feel a little bit nauseous, headaches. Some people can feel a little bit overstimulated. All of those effects, though, can be diminished or reduced or sometimes completely eliminated when we actually just reduce the intensity, support with the proper nutrients, and again, drinking water before, during, and after PMF therapy.
That's one of the key. It actually enhances also your effects. The more you drink during the therapy, the more effective the treatment will be over time. So it's very crucial. How to use PMF locally. You can see here, and I told you that before, he has the butterfly, the big loop over the top. He has it underneath, then he has the butterfly the other way around. So as you can see, you can treat the knee in many different ways. You can even use the paddle from right, from left, from top to bottom. So there is no real rule, however it is most convenient. Now, if you look at hips, the second picture on the right, and let me just mark that, this is actually one of the most effective treatments, not only for hip, it is a very powerful treatment for prostate, endometrial cancer, for ovaries, for, you know, the whole reproductive organs, because you pulse from both sides directly into your lower body. It's also used as a treatment for incontinence. So you can use the big loop and then dance a rumba. So you just go and roll your hips gently in a circle while you do that. That is very powerful. Around the neck, put it on your neck. If you have stiff shoulders, put it over your shoulders. And really don't be scared to put that paddle in every possible way you can do. Focusing on the center of the loop is the most powerful effect. That's where you have all the mega power, the highest Gauss output. Local treatment, for example, if we treat the prostate, you would sit on it and then you would put it over the top, you know, over your groin and pulse from the top. And you would put the foot right and left side into the loop and do the rumba. And that is actually where you then get that whole area completely from all sides energized. So just doing from one side is missing out on the other parts. Quick recharge. I have a training on the website where we cover all the different points, and you can see in those images, you know, upper back recharge and lungs, heart, thyroid, thymus, pancreas, you know, rectum, colon, genitals, prostate, testicles, bladder. I just listed the organs that are in those positions. The closer you get to an organ, the more you affect that particular organ. So the 5-minute recharge is really fantastic. 5 minutes sitting on the loop, 5 minutes in the lower back. Turn it down there. You don't want to overstimulate your adrenals. So when you lean against the lower loop or against the pad, don't put it on full power. Keep it at a lower level. Adrenals and kidney are very sensitive. Shoulder blades, you can bring it up if you don't have a pacemaker. Around your neck is the most unpleasant. It's actually the strongest effect where you feel it. So just keep it there, especially if you've been a smoker and you've smoked for a long time. You don't want to pulse full beam. It's also affecting the heart. What you can do, and this is why I love it so much, when I do my neck treatment and I have it around here, slides, stop. When I have it around here, what I do is breathing exercises. And see, when you treat your lungs and your upper respiratory organs or your thyroid, everything in the middle here is the strongest effect. So if I put it on here, it goes directly into my lungs and you detoxify there. What you can do also is increase the oxygen uptake. So I use this position and just do 5 minutes of fast in, slow out. First of all, it calms you down. It's a very beautiful meditative breathing.
Parasympathetic.
Exactly. So you breathe in fast and you slow out. Because you breathe out slow and through squeezed, you know, whatever, breathing organs, you go in and go, and you can make a noise. You can do a humming sound. It doesn't matter. Humming is actually really good with it. The vibration, the slow out, increases the oxygen absorption during that time. You can boost that treatment and oxygen uptake while doing PEMF phenomenally. So that's a very, very important part. So you can see that here right behind me. I explain that in the video as well. And yeah, don't forget to treat your pets.
I actually have a very cute thing to read out if I can find it. Donna. My cat runs from across the house when I turn on the PEMF mat. She lays on me or on the mat with me and purrs the entire time.
Yeah, our dog too. That's Amber. That's our Labradoodle. And as soon as you turn on the pad, it's just like that tick, tick, tick. The dog comes and lays on you just to get some of that treatment as well. Which device is best for you? Now, that's a really big question, and a question that I get pretty much all the time. Now, they are bloody expensive, and you can buy a little car for that amount. So, unfortunately, they're now medically approved, with Health Canada, FDA, TGA, ULCE. They can be used in medical clinics. That is a massive expense. And because of that, they are now also quite, or they have always been expensive. You deal with 20,000, 30,000 volt with a private person using it at home, all the security and everything. So they will not come down in price. They actually, I think, even go up with the massive demand we have right now. We have a production time of 8 to 10 days. So, number one argument, how much money do you have? It really is an important one. If you have mega stress levels and you don't know how to finance, don't go for the biggest device. Go for what you can afford comfortably. It's on the other side, a 10-year investment. As you start treating, no matter what, joints, aging process, nutrient uptake, you realize what we've talked about. It's not just cancer. It's like a whole range of diseases that you can treat. I had a retirement village. It's now nine or 10 devices that they have. They buy more and more and more because all those elderly people, they thrive with it. It's like my mom told it to all of her girlfriends, and now all of them have PMF, and they sit together. They come and bring their suitcase, PMF, and they sit together playing cards. It is a treatment that you will have for a very long time. So check what you can afford, who can help you with, and the bigger you go, the better the effects, the faster the effects. But if you can only afford the little one, well, just do it more often, do it longer. Like my mom has the clinic mono, and she uses it every day from morning till evening. Every time she says, oh, I need to go in, and then she dibbles into her bed, into her living room, sits down, turns it on, and goes, oh, feels so good. And then she has a 20-minute nap, a little sleep, and then she goes back out. It's something that you will find you have a lifetime. So check that out. Then the next question is, what are you treating? If you treat mainly cataracts, glaucoma, immune boost, gentle detox, dental, Alzheimer, Parkinson's, all of that, well, then get the small one. You'd never use the strong one on a high intensity. How fast do you need to see results? See, that's for clinics. And that's why I always say, if you are a clinic and you see clients, you can't go with the smallest device. Their repetition becomes too often. And think about it. I say that for a 4,000 Gauss device. Now, when you look at those IMRS and Beamer and all those devices, they have results, but they take forever to get you there. So if I say with our 4,000 Gauss device, it still is far superior. It's so much faster already. But if I have here, and I have here, over there is my big, I have it here. Deborah brought it. I want to show you. Oh, bloody hell, that's a monster, a heavy one. And let's turn on. No, stop slideshow. See, this is the big, and I lift it up so that you can see it. This is a heavy monster, and this is like a suitcase that you can close. And with little rollers at the bottom, you see all the images on PEMF training. And I connect here 2 applicators. They always come with double applicators. And then I can turn the device on 10 minutes or 5 minutes. either simultaneous at the same time, or I can treat Deborah here gently because she doesn't like it as strong. And I have here full power because I love that. So we can do 2 people, or I can do my sitting on it and do my knees at the same time. So this is just the very big one. Now that's a massive expense. But if you have lots of clients go through every day and you want to see instant results that they walk out and say, oh God, I already feel my back being better, or I already feel the change, then this is the dream device. And you can use that for racehorses, for sports people. We have the Olympic national surfing team and rugby team, and really people that use a lot of high intensity sport. You know, sport is not healthy. So if you do high intensity like bike riding and all of those things, they cripple themselves, they burn out their knees, they burn out their elbows, tennis. So it's like high intensity sport needs a lot of maintenance. They all go for the big device. And I think I said that in my slide. What are the people you are treating? What kind of people? If you have lots of athletes and super muscles, they feel the little device and they go like, And then I show them the Clinic Duo and they go like, oh yeah, I'm going to use that. And then they sit down on the big PMT and they go like, oh, why didn't you show me that first? It really is. Whereas if you are very tender and how do you call that? Fragile and sensitive, then the little one will be fine. So it really depends. First, don't stress with money. What you can afford is the best device you can get. Going on, if you have a device, and this is something we're just starting, I'm just building it up and it had a few glitches, then you can go and list your device into our map. And that's a very good way to create income, not to treat people. If you want to, that's fine, you can do that, but it's more to show someone. See, you would probably like to check it out and feel it first before you buy. And that is what we have the problem. We have an audience worldwide. So how do I have someone in Iceland test out a PEMF, or in Greenland? We have one now in North Pole, Alaska. I was really excited when I saw that order come through. So it's something that you can go and show people if you want to. You list your device, somebody comes, and therefore you get commission. So it's a really great way. You list your device, you set up what you do, what your presentation is, which device you can show, and put in your contact email, and then they send you a request, and you can get back and show your device. So you can actually generate quite a lot of income. I have one practitioner here. He shows the device to everyone, and he sold more than I do. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, as a practitioner, actually, it's a great referral system to actually get clients to come to your clinic as well.
Exactly. So that's it. And we have the last slide. All done. Yes. Stop slideshow presentation. And Deborah will go into questions because she pointed out we are already way too long.